Hey everybody, anybody that's watching, thanks for joining me. I don't have anything planned other than we'll just go through a quick review of the last 5 days. If anyone has any specific questions, just you can either type them in the comment field or you can, I included the Zoom link in the description in Facebook. So if you want to come on and actually ask me questions, in Zoom, you can do that, or you can just type them in the comment section and I will follow up with you. But as I mentioned, I don't have anything specifically planned. I'll just recap sort of what we went through over the last 5 days and comment or just go through the couple of offers again. And if there's no questions, then we'll just call it a night. It's a beautiful long weekend. I guess my planning in doing this course wasn't that great since it's a long weekend, but just so nice and hot and sunny here in Alberta. So I won't keep everybody, but so for those of you watching who joined me all 5 days, we got started on Monday talking about the opportunity, what's going on with respect to COVID, the banks tightening up their lending practices, the Bank of Canada looking to make something happen by bailing out or spending money, investing in the banks by buying mortgages, and CMHC is doing the same. They're investing a lot of money into the banks to buy mortgages. So trying to make the banks as liquid as possible. However, we've seen this happen before where the banks become liquid, but they still tighten up their lending practices and end up paying out multi-million-dollar bonuses to their executives and not funneling that money down to the average person. And with respect to what's going on in COVID and the situation, the housing situation, there's still a lot of people not back to work yet. The mortgage deferrals are only 6 months. So once that 6 months are up, and if the individuals in the homes still aren't able to pay the mortgages, then we're going to start to see a lot of defaults on mortgages and eventually going into foreclosure. As mentioned, I started this business in 2009, just after the financial crisis. And for 3 years after the financial crisis, there was an increase in the number of defaults and mortgages across Canada and the number of mortgages that were going into foreclosure. And I was extremely busy at that point in time, getting one property per month with the strategy that I was employing then, getting houses from homeowners. I was doing it at a truly investor model. Making sure I got the property at as low a price as possible. But I still managed to do one property a month for 24 months. Took a little time off, and I managed to end up doing another 30 properties after that. So I think nobody can predict what's going to happen. I just don't know. I think it's a wait and see game right now as far as investing capital, investing your money. I think you're better off to hold off on your money until sometime next year when we actually see what's going to transpire with the housing market. I believe over the next few years it's going to be a huge opportunity. In what I'm actually coining now is, I just came up with this today. Actually, you can tell me what you think. I'm sure all of you have heard of OPM, other people's money. So I decided to make an acronym OPH, other people's houses. So I think there's going to be a huge opportunity to use OPH in the investing world in the next few years, just like it was back in just after 08. So using other people's houses to invest in real estate, I think that's going to be huge. I think the market's going to explode for this type of business in the next few years, as well as with the banks tightening up their lending practices. There's a lot of really good people out there who would typically qualify for a mortgage, not able to get into a home. And because there's so few, if you think about it, there's a lot of competition for houses on the market, houses for sale. There's a lot of competition for houses for rent. If you look in your area, there's a very, very, very little competition, if no competition at all, for houses that are available to rent to own, which is the exit strategy. Of course, you can do whatever you want with the home once you get it under lease option. But if you're talking about an exit strategy and you're using the rent to own model, just think about how little competition there is out there for people who just don't qualify for a mortgage today to get into a home and have a proven successful system set up that's going to help them purchase the home during the time frame of the lease option that you set up for them. I'm sure there's very little competition in everybody's market. I know I'm in Edmonton, million plus people, very little competition, very little. So with my current marketing, I'm not investing a lot of money in my current Facebook, Instagram marketing, the system that I have built up for myself. And just in 2 weeks, I mean, they're still coming in. My 2 weeks are up, I think, on Sunday. So far, I have 97 people have opted in, 14 meetings booked. I have one client confirmed for a contract, 2 others that are just looking at the options to pick which option. They're going to come back and call me on early next week, or we're going to touch base next week as to which option they're going to go with for me. So there'll be a couple more. And I anticipate getting, at a bare minimum, 1 property a week using the current marketing strategy I'm using. And from that, I'll be able to very easily attract a lot of tenant buyers. It's much easier to attract tenant buyers when you actually have 1 or 2 properties. So then you're actually out aggressively marketing those properties. And then you get a lot of people saying, oh, geez, I want to do a rent to own, but I'm looking for something in this area or this price range, or here's what I'm looking for. And then you can start funneling those people through as well. So that's Monday. We talked about the opportunity, and of course the strategy of how to get houses for $100 down was the lease option strategy, where you lease a home from a homeowner and have the option to purchase it in the future. Okay. And then on day 2, we talked about how to attract homeowners. So we got into marketing. We did a little bit of marketing. You had the ability, I uploaded 207 headline formulas that you could look at. There was also a copywriting checklist that you can go through to help create some copy. I actually created an ad during that evening in the slides, which works very well, using that that model, that strategy, and you can go and duplicate that in your area. So we talked a lot about marketing, free marketing, of course, Kijiji, Craigslist, Facebook groups, things like that. I am moving to 100% paid marketing model right now, which right now I'm focusing on Instagram and Facebook. And like I said, that is working extremely well. I am getting, it's costing me $40 for every homeowner analysis I do. So basically that's somebody who's watched the video, booked, submitted all their information about their property, actually booked a meeting with me, and that's all automated. And then once I had the meeting with them and follow up and show them the options available to them, that is right now through my ads, that's costing me around $40 for every person I talk to. And so I've had 14 people book, so you can do the math. That's just over $500. It's cost me in 2 weeks to run these ads, but I have 1 confirmed and probably 2 or 3 other homeowners that will be confirming next week. So not too bad when each deal is going to be between $30,000 to $50,000. So I'll invest $40 any day of the week to get $30,000 to $50,000. So Tuesday we talked about marketing. attracting those homeowners. On Wednesday, we talked about how you can actually do a couple of deals a year and potentially make $10,000 a month, and as well walk through how you would screen a tenant buyer. So if your exit strategy was going to be rent to own, which I highly suggest because it's the most profitable, most lucrative, and it's the one that gives you the clear exit strategy in the time frame that you have the property taken over. So how you actually screen the tenant buyer, of course, using that first hurdle of getting them to pay the $500 or whatever fee you put there, the application fee, so that you can pay the credit coach, and making it mandatory that the application goes through a credit coach and mortgage broker before they're even considered for your program. So forcing them to go through that hurdle will weed out a lot of the tire kickers and people that will just not succeed. They just don't. They just won't do what it takes to succeed because they're not. They're interested, but they're not committed. So you want the people who are committed. So we looked at actually screening the individual. So that was on Wednesday. On Thursday, we got into negotiating and presenting and negotiating. So that's how we compared the option that you're going to offer to the homeowner against if they were just to sell it today, or they would turn it into a traditional rental, be the landlord or use a property manager, and then sell it traditionally at the end using a realtor. And how you can present that information by showing them they're going to make more money working with you, and you get the property at good terms that work for both parties. So the homeowner is going to make more money, but you get it below fair market rent, below fair market value. And the way that you show that is by reducing the expenditure, reducing the revenue of the homeowner when they're selling their home, as well as reducing the revenue of the income, the monthly income from the typical expenses that they would have in a property. So I shared some screenshots of the spreadsheet that I used to help calculate that. So you can actually see that, and you can see what's broken out as far as expenditures go and how it's actually calculated. So you can use that information to turn around and either just make something that you can fill in by hand using a pen and paper, or you can actually duplicate that and create your own spreadsheet that will help you in presenting the information. But I find it very effective to just present the end information, basically the bottom line. Here's how much you're going to make. Skip all the details. Most homeowners only care about how much money they're going to put in their pocket at the end of the day. Okay, so that was on Thursday. And then yesterday we went through the structure, setting up and structuring the deal, how you would do that using corporations, and then what agreements would be between which corporation and the homeowner, and which corporation and the tenant buyer. So we went through that yesterday, and just went through the various agreements and contracts that you would need for if you were going to do if you're going to lease option it from the homeowner, which agreements and contracts do you need for the homeowner? And on the other side, if you're actually going to turn it into a rent own, what agreements and contracts would you need for the tenant buyer to make sure it's done legally? This morning, I spent probably a few hours with my legal advisor, and we actually redid a lot of the contracts because a lot of the contracts with the owner specifically to tailor them for how I actually structure my business right now. Because I structured the way that I presented to the homeowner is structured a little bit differently than the traditional way that I showed everybody how I presented it before, where I offer them some alternative options. And based on those alternative options, we had to do some configuring with the contracts, which cost me more money to get these altered, but well worth it to, because the way that I'm presenting it right now, I'll tell you a little story. After I finished up yesterday, I had 2 calls. No, I had to call an owner back. We were scheduled to have an assessment meeting prior to yesterday's session, and he was actually unable to open up the spreadsheet because he was driving. So he said, "Oh, can you just call me? Let's touch base after work." Or I said, "Okay, I have a class to prepare for, but I'll give you a call after 8 o'clock." So we touched base, 8:30 or so. And he put his wife on the phone, and she was just staring at the one sheet that I will send out, that shows them the 3 different options and how much money they make. So I went through my scenario of how this works, how my company helps them make more money. On the other side, we're working to help people who don't qualify for a traditional mortgage today get into a home. They're always great people who have good jobs right now. They have money. They would qualify for that price point. Just for whatever reason, they're not able to get a traditional mortgage today. Either they got some blemishes on their credit, they're new to the country, they're going through a divorce, so they can't legally, they don't want to have anything in their name until their divorce is finalized, or they're self-employed and they just don't pay themselves properly from their corporation that satisfies the bank requirements. Their company makes good money, and just the way that they pay themselves, the bank thinks that they don't make enough money to qualify for a home. So, the mortgage broker's got to talk to their accountant and say, "Hey, we need you to make sure that it looks like this, that you're paying them this way, just for a couple of years, just so that they can actually qualify for mortgage." So great people. So once I explained that to them and I showed them the information, it's like, okay, you sell it today, here's what you would put in your pocket. If you rented it then sold it, here's what you can put it in your pocket. And here's my 3 options. I went through the 3 options, and if your home does not appreciate over 3 years, basically if it stays the same price, you can see that you're still making a lot more money working with me. If it does appreciate, you can see that you're making even more money when working with me. So at the end of the call with the gentleman, he asked me if he could work for me. And I said, "What?" He said, "Man," he said, "I really love you got some program here. I really love this program. Like I just can't say enough good things about it." He said, I could get you so many houses." And I said, "Yeah?" And I laughed, and he said, "Yeah." I said, he told me he was from India, descended from India. So his Indian community of individuals from India. He goes, "I have such a big community and network of people. I've got a couple properties myself, and my social circle, my wife's social circle, we have so many connections in the Indian community in Edmonton." And he said, "I can get you so many houses for your program." I said, here's the deal, man. Every house that you bring to me, I'll cut you a check. If I sign them up and make a deal out of it, I'll cut you a check as soon as I make it happen. So long story short, you never know who you're going to talk to and what opportunity it's going to bring. So him and his wife will be calling me back on Tuesday. They committed to call me back on Tuesday. They're just going to pick which option that works best for them. And then we're going to move ahead and with that property, and then, which will be my second one, I'll be signing up in 2 weeks. And I still have a couple of more who are going to be getting back to me next week as well. So yeah, so you never know when you're talking to a homeowner how many connections that they have and what opportunity it could bring. So that's what we talked about on yesterday, as well as then I made some offers. The first one being the 4 weeks private coaching. And the bonus with that is you get the full Rent-Own Revolution course, and you get the contracts not only the rent-to-own contracts, but you also get a variety of other contracts, groups of contracts, and in each group there's a multitude of agreements and contracts that I've accumulated over the last 12 years or so doing this business. And you get those bonuses when you enroll in the 4-week private coaching for $14.97. The second offer was the 3 days of 3 days of group coaching. And with that, our team would actually put in place the automated lead generating funnels, the templates, and the automation part. And then we would spend the 3 days going and helping you craft the copy for the landing pages, the video page, what you're going to put in your video, the thank you page, set up your online booking calendar for you so your clients can book their meetings automatically, and set up their email sequences. And then you will actually be writing your emails and all the different emails you want in your sequence and when you want them set out. So we would help you plan all that. And then our team, once you had that stuff completed, our team would put it all in place for you. And then day 2, we would help set up your Facebook account, the pixels, audiences, custom conversions, campaigns, ad sets. So basically getting your ad system set up in Facebook. And on day 3, we would help you create some Facebook and Instagram ads to help you set up your budgets and start running your ads. And the bonus to that is you get the contracts, all the contracts, as well as the Rent-to-Own Revolution course. And of course, the last option was the one-on-one coaching, private coaching. And with that, my team will actually build your entire system and create all of your ads for you, do everything for you from start to finish, with a little bit of input from you, but basically we're building and doing everything for you. It'll be a lot of duplication from what I've already done for myself. All right, and then you get 2 days of coaching, as well as 12 calls and unlimited email and support for the year. Okay, so that's what we went through. Those were the 5 days. For those of you that spent the 5 days with me, that's what we went through. So I'm just going to go through and see if anyone has any specific questions. I don't think anyone joined me. Let's see, nobody joined me in Zoom. So just say hello to Jonathan Blair Murray. Thanks for joining us. Nathan, thanks Nathan. Katie Daniels, Chris Burr. Hey Chris. Megan, thanks for watching, Megan, and Jonathan again. So Chris asks, can you explain more on how to advertise for tenants? So a lot of it is let me see. Trying to think of a headline for one of my ads. Banks say no. That's a good headline. Banks say no, question mark. Don't qualify for a mortgage. Want to buy a home but don't qualify for a mortgage. Another good headline. So then you're basically going in and say, hey, if you'd like to buy a home, if you've got a job, you want to buy a home, but the bank said no, something like that. Let me look up an ad. I just had one open. I just had them open too. Let me see if I can find it again. Hold on. So just bear with me for a second while I find my ads. Okay, so I'm going to share this page. Stop sharing that one. So here's 3 different headlines. Making your dream of owning a home a reality, or rent to own this gorgeous home in whatever city. And banks say no, question mark. We say yes. And then the blue stuff is basically, it's specific to the property. So this is one I'd run when I actually have a property and I'm going to describe the property. So I use this putting in descriptions, but you can just pick generic stuff. Even if you don't have a property, you can build something like this talking about a property. And when people call in or whatever, they say, yeah, I'm calling on the ad for the home that you advertised. So, well, that one's no longer available, but you know, we're always getting new properties. So if you're interested, I can, if you want, I can grab some information from you, and then you go through that client questionnaire and try to get them through the process becoming rent owned. You can tell them you get properties in all the time, and what happens is typically you don't advertise a lot of the properties because you have a database of people waiting to get in properties. So if they want to be considered, they should, get into your database, and they should, get you the information so that when you do get a property, you can contact them and let them know you have something available, because a lot of them you don't end up advertising. So that's what I used to say that all the time to people. It's like I would advertise for rent to own, and even if I didn't have a home, and I say, yeah, like, I just don't have anything available right now. And a lot of times I don't even put them up. I don't even advertise them because I have people waiting to get into a home that have already, submitted, gave me their information, told me what they're looking for, so that as soon as I get a home that matches what their requirements, it doesn't even, we don't need to advertise, we just put them in. So this one here just basically talks about a specific home. Now you don't have to, it doesn't have to be a real home, it could be a fictitious home. Let me see. Again, this one is a little bit more generic, making you dream of owning a home reality, and get into home ownership, rent to own your home in whatever city. Home ownership on your mind, owner willing to finance some or all of the home. And don't qualify for a traditional mortgage today because you have been, because you are self-employed, new to the country, been through bankruptcy or foreclosure, have bruised or bad credit, or just don't have the full down payment the banks require. If that's the case, then no problem. With our rent to own program, we can get you into a home of your very own. We have our expert team of credit coaches, mortgage brokers who work with you from the very beginning and throughout the term of the program to ensure you're doing everything you need to qualify for traditional mortgage. And then we just talk a little bit more about some specifics of a home. So gives you an idea. This one, a lot of the same headlines. We got 4 or 5 different headlines. Are you looking to get into a home of your own? Are you having difficulty qualifying for a mortgage? Do you want a home you're proud of that gives your family the space and time together? If you answered yes to any of these, then we have the opportunity for you. Then it goes through, if you're self-employed, new to the country, all that stuff as well. So hopefully that gives you an idea. Hopefully that will give you an idea of what to do for creating an ad for tenant buyers. If you get a tenant in the property and they stop paying for some reason, can you explain how to start the eviction process? And also, do you end up paying all the missed payments? Okay. So this is something, Jonathan, that I just actually created in the new contracts because of the various options I offer. So the eviction process is the exact same as the eviction process for a tenant in the regular rental situation. So just like they're a normal tenant, the day after they miss their rent, you post in our province, I'm talking about Alberta, you post a 14-day notice. Basically, they have 14 days to pay the arrears. And after, if they don't pay within those 14 days, then you start the actual eviction process with the landlord and tenant board. You go down there to fill in the information and then go through their process. Each landlord and tenant board in each province is going to have a different process. So your best bet is to contact the landlord and tenant board in your province, or look online and see what the process is. Now you may want to just automatically go right to the provincial court and start a statement of claim, which is a legal action that starts a legal action to have to take legal action against them to get them out of the property, because there's a good chance that even though the lease is in a separate company from the option, the Landlord and Tenant Act will tell you that even that because that individual has an option on that particular property, even though it's with a different company, that it has to go to court. So you go through the landlord and tenant board first, but you may end up having to go to court. So with the contracts I just created, I was going to I have options where if the tenant doesn't pay, I don't pay. And then I thought about it a little bit more. It's like, okay, well, that's pretty abrupt to the homeowner, because I've got a large down payment and I also have their security deposit. So I have the money, some money to pay some. So what I decided to do is, if the tenant does not pay, I will pay for 2 months. And then after 2 months, I don't have to pay for, let's say, 3 or 4 months. So that actually gives me 5 months to get the person out of the property. Now, in my cases, I've always got the people out of the property really quickly. So those 2 months, typically in those 2 months, I've managed to get them out of the property. I've never had to, I've only once, and this is very early on when I had terrible screening process, did I ever have to go to court. And the guy never even showed up in court, and he did a midnight move and he wasn't even in the place anymore. So he was gone. So hopefully that helps, but contact your local resident tenancy board and just get the step-by-step process to do an eviction with them. And depending upon how you structure your contracts, that will determine how you end up paying. As with any lease, you can stop paying a lease. It all depends on how you want to run your business. Because if you've ever been a landlord, you know that tenants can just stop paying and leave. And then it's up to you to go after them. And a lot of times it's not worth the hassle or the expense to chase after a tenant for 1 or 2 months rent versus just getting the place ready and putting somebody else in there. Now, if they destroy the place, then you're going to go after them. But if they just do a midnight move and the place is in pretty good shape, a lot of times most landlords are just going to quickly turn it over and get somebody in there right away and sort of just take it as a loss in a lot of cases. Some may try to track them down, but again, it's one thing to get a judgment. It's another thing to collect the money. So how much are you going to spend to get 1 month's worth of rent? So that's really up to you. That's a judgment call. It's how you want to run your business. Before you make up an offer purchase price, do you get a contractor to look at it? Sorry, I just lost my place. Do you get a contractor to look at it or get a home inspection first? And also, how do you come up with the sales price for the rent-to-own tenant? Is it a certain percentage above fair market value? And how do you determine how much of the rent goes towards the principal? Okay, a lot of questions in there. With regards to the home inspection, I have, so I have an note, basically I have a note in the beginning of my contract. So I have like so many months. Just like a realtor would have a listing agreement, and then they have like so many months before the listing expires. I have so many months basically to secure a tenant buyer. If I don't, then the contracts expire. So I do not get a home inspection because I do not want that expense. But as soon as I find a tenant buyer, I tell them, you need to do a home inspection. Because if you sign these documents and move into the house without getting an inspection done, then there could be some issues on your part. You can't come back and say, I need you to reduce the price of the house by $10,000 because it has this issue. So you need to know that before you move into the place. So I put the onus on the tenant buyer, telling them that they need to do that. And typically, and they always do. So it always happens on all of the properties, but it's not me doing it. It's the tenant buyer that goes in there. Also, how do you come up with the sales price? So basically, I take fair market rent today, and then I just arbitrarily pick how much do I think the market is going to appreciate for that home per year for the next however many years the term is. So do I think it's going to go up over the next 3 years? I don't think it's going to go up. However, I am going to appreciate every property to the tenant buyer just in case my prediction is wrong. So you can basically go back and look at CMHC historical data for your area and get a good sense of what appreciation has been in those areas over the past so many years. And you can come up with a good average to use for each and just say, okay, based on my historical data and the information I've looked at, homes in this area on average, we all know it goes like this, but we just take an average. Let's say it goes up like 3.33% a year. Okay, well, if I do the simple math, if I add 3.33%, and I add that like for each year, instead of doing the compounded, I just say, okay, that's 10% over 3 years. Then that's how much I would appreciate the property for the tenant buyer. So basically, you just figure out what is the average appreciation, and then figure out per year. And then each year, you just take the purchase price, add the appreciation, then add the appreciation for another year, add the appreciation for another year until you come up with the final figure, and that's how you determine what the end purchase price is to the tenant buyer. Is there a certain percentage above fair market value? Like I said, do your research for the area that you're living in or working in, and just kind of get a good idea. Don't be crazy, because basically you still have to find somebody. You still have to be able to logically justify the price to the tenant buyer. So if you say, oh, I'm going to pick 10% a year. So when the tenant buyer looks at that house and sees the price like way up here, they're going to think to themselves, that place is not worth that. There's no way I'm getting into that agreement. So I can realistically say to people, okay, and here's how I operate my business. Say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Tenant Buyer, here's the price. This is a ceiling price. Now, we've done some we added some from today's fair market value. We appreciated the home for every year. And this is a true ceiling price. You will never pay more than this. If the housing market increases past that, you'll never pay more. But Mr. or Mrs. Tenant Buyer, you can see in my brand new agreements, here is, no, they're not in the tenant buyer, it's in the owner's one. But I have I determine what the fair market value of the home is today. So actually I have that in the owner's agreement. So basically what I've always done, even without those agreements, what I've always done is this is the price with the tenant buyer, and this is the sort of the price I have with the homeowner. I will always come down in price, even to the point where if it does not appreciate in 3 years, I'm selling it just for the price I have, the fair market value that it is today. Because I know that I've already made money. So this is the ceiling price for the tenant buyer. I will, if 3 years from now the bank says it's not worth that, it's worth this, I will drop the price to that and sell it to them. And how do you determine how much rent goes towards the principal? 0 rent goes towards the principal. 0. You cannot put any rent towards the future down payment. Rent is rent. Because remember, the lease does not communicate with the option. So what they pay for rent is only rent. Now the option contract has a monthly component to it that they would be paying a certain amount every single month. So what you have to do is you have to determine, okay, this tenant buyer needs, I know that to buy a home in Canada today, they need a minimum of 5%. So if they come in to the program and they give me 3% down, so they don't give me 5, they give me 3%, then you know that over the next 3 years, they need to come up with 2% more of the purchase price. So you figure out what that 2% is, and then you take that number and divide it by the number of months that their program is. So I'm just going to do an easy calculation. So if it's a $400,000 home, 5% of that is $20,000. So let's say they come in with $10,000 down. Okay, they give me $10,000 down. I know that they need to have 20 by the end of it. So they're halfway there. So they gave me 10 and they still got 10 more that they have to come up with. So I take that $10,000 that they need to build up. I divide it by 36 months because that's the term. So 10,000 divided by 36 months equals whatever number. Then that's how much extra they have to pay every month over and above rent. So rent is still rent. That little bit they have to pay over and above rent every single month. And that gets put towards their future down payment. Okay. Hopefully that answered it. When you do the lease for option with seller and you get a tenant in there, does the rent that pays down their mortgage pay down? No. Rent does nothing. Rent just pays rent. The only thing that affects the purchase is in the option contract. The lease rent has nothing to do with the purchase. So that you might as well, that money's just going out the window. That's just rent, right? That doesn't do anything. It doesn't help it's just the agreement. Like none of that will go towards the purchase price. It's whatever's in this option contract that will actually reduce the amount that they are buying the property from them. So if that makes sense. The purchase price is $400,000. Total purchase price at the end is $400,000. And by the end of it, they have built up a 5% down payment. So that's 20 grand. So they're buying it for $400,000. We show that they've already paid 20 grand from their money up front and then the extra money they paid every month. So that means they're going to get a mortgage for 380. Okay. Hopefully that made sense. Loveline is watching. Welcome, Loveline. Chris says, perfect. What is your opinion on doing a lease option for a brand new infill property? My opinion is it's probably a good property to do it on because tenant buyers love brand new properties. If you're trying to do rent to owns on old rentals and rundown properties, you're going to notice that you're not going to get anybody interested because tenant buyers are just like home buyers today. They want to be able to walk into a place and do absolutely nothing to it. They just, other than put their furniture in it. They don't want to be like repainting the entire place. They don't want to be changing out cabinets or light fixtures. A small minority do, but the majority of people want move-in ready. So the closer to new you can get, the better. The easier it's going to be to get tenant buyers. Trust me. I've had properties I could not unload because they were old. They were, investors had them. You know, your traditional old school investor that did not put a lot of money into their properties. They just turned over tenant after tenant after tenant. The place was outdated by about 20 years, the interior. I mean, it was okay shape, but it was outdated by about 20 years and just did not show well at all. And they were like, why can't you get somebody? Why can't you get somebody? It's like, I know why, but I didn't want to hurt their feelings and tell them their place looked like shit. But basically their place looked like shit. And like, you know, you barely find a renter for that place, let alone somebody that wants to buy it. Anyway, excuse my language. Has someone, Jonathan asks, has someone ever brought you a deal and you both JV split? If so, how do you structure it? So, Jonathan, on a sandwich lease option, no, I don't. There's nothing really to JV. Like I may have a home and then somebody has a tenant buyer. And in that case, I will only if the tenant buyer has gone through my credit coach and my mortgage broker. So if you're going to bring me somebody and say, oh, I've got a tenant buyer for you, I want to know how qualified they are. People try to bring me people all the time. And then they say, well, have you qualified them? Like, have they talked to, who's the credit coach they talk to? What mortgage broker processed their information? And they say, oh, nobody. I just got somebody that's got 20 grand. And then they say, I want 10 grand for this person. But they haven't done any work to qualify them. It's like, no, if you're not going to do the work to qualify them, I'm not going to pay you anything. Like, if you want me to do the work to qualify them, I'm not paying you 10 grand. I made it a rule I'd never paid anybody 10 grand. The most I would pay is up to, the maximum would be 5 grand I would pay for a tenant buyer that was extremely well qualified. Basically, they had gone through my credit coach, my mortgage broker, and I didn't have to actually do it. That person sent them through them. And I was just given all the information, and these tenant buyers had a lot of money up front. But if you're talking about joint venture where somebody has a property, say somebody has a property and they say, oh, I want to joint venture with you. They bring you a property. They say, oh, let's do a rent to own on it and JV. The way that I would JV on that is I would just structure a typical sandwich lease, and I would build in, I would build their profit into my agreement with them. So I'd be renting it, and my purchase price at the end would have already factored in whatever share that they were going to get. I try to avoid joint ventures on rent owns as much as possible. Even if I had investors, let's say I had investors that wanted to buy properties for me, I would say, okay, I would see, or, you know, they had the cash to buy a property. Say, okay, well, what do you know, I'd figure out what they're looking to get out of it, how much return. If it's your average passive investor that doesn't really know much about investing, you know, they're just looking to make more on their money. So 8, 12%, something like that. Again, I would just build it right into my model. So I would control the whole rent to own, but they're getting their money on directly from the agreements that I set up with him. So they're not involved in the rent to own whatsoever. Just they're getting their 12% from my rental price with them and my purchase price from them. It's already been calculated in. That's how I would do a rent to own joint venture. Other than that, like I said, if someone brings me a tenant buyer, if I have to do all the work to qualify them, then I'm not going to give them a whole lot of money for a referral. If they've already put them through the process of my credit coach, my mortgage broker, depending upon how much of a down payment, I would pay them up to $5,000, and I've done that before. But I don't split the deal. You know, I'll buy the tenant buyer off them, but I don't split a deal. Have you ever acquired properties using agreement for sale? And what's the difference? So the difference between agreement and sale and lease option, in agreement for sale, is you have to buy the property at the end regardless. So there's no option. There's no opting out. And you can expect a lawsuit if you do not buy that property. So you're better off using a lease option than an agreement for sale. The lease option gives you more power, but also more control, meaning that you have the ability to walk away from it without a lawsuit. Agreement for sale, you have agreed to buy that thing. So you better make sure that you're going to buy that thing or have somebody to buy it. Especially if the market goes down. If the market goes down and you have this agreement to buy it, you expect a lawsuit. So that's that question. Anybody else have any specific questions that I can help you with? Geez, I didn't think I was talking that long. It's almost been an hour. If not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, just going to enter my phone number if anyone has any questions about the programs. The bonuses, the pricing, the bonuses available till midnight tomorrow night. So you're investing in coaching, whether it be the 4-day or the 4-week coaching for $14.97. The bonuses, you'll get the course, and you'll get all the contracts, the rent-own contracts, agreements with the owner, and agreements with the tenant buyer. You'll get all those agreements, as well as I have a variety of other contracts I've built up over the years. That was the first offer. Second one is the 3-day group coaching, where we help you build your own marketing system to help generate the type of leads and build your business, very similar to the way that I'm doing it right now, where it's all automated, and you just basically, when the appointment is booked, you're just calling the people on that day, sending them a PDF of the analysis, and I'm telling you, it works like crazy. It works like crazy. And so with that one, again, you get the bonuses of the the course and the contracts, and of course the one-on-one coaching. With that, you get the course, the contracts, and our team will actually build all of your 2 funnels, and completely set up for you. It's all done for you. Your marketing, we write the ads, create the ads for you. Basically, it'll almost be a duplicate of my system, what I have working right here, right now. So you have the ability to do that. So these are available. The bonuses of these are available until Sunday night. Of course, you can get coaching with me at any time, but these particular bonuses will be available up till Sunday night. Katie says, the people that participated, you said we're going to give some prizes. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. I forgot all about that. So what I will do is I have to go through and, I never did that. What I will do is I'll pick the top 3 people who participated in all the chat. I'll have to go through all the chat and look at all the participation. And what I will do is so the prizes will be, I'll give them all of my, all of the ads that I created, all the marketing ads that worked successfully for forever. I'll give you all those templates, as well as I'll do a 1-hour coaching call to help you on any aspect of your real estate. I do know a lot more about real estate than this one topic. With buy, rent, and hold, or analyzing properties, or it doesn't even have to be about real estate. If you want to grow a business, you want to do marketing, that as well. So I have some of the material I will provide you. Basically, I'll pick the top 3. I'll come up with an assortment of things I'll make available, as well as a 1-hour coaching call for the top 3 individually. So you get your own coaching call for 1 hour, and I will I'll accumulate some stuff. But actually, what I'd like to do for the top 3 is, during the coaching call, figure out what it is you actually need help with, and then go back and provide you with some of my materials that I think can help you. So you have a book, right? Yeah, I've got like 4 books, Katie. I could send you a book. I could even sign it. I could do that for you. I have a Rent-Own Revolution book. I have a Infinite Real Estate ROI book. I have Authority Acceleration book, and I have I co-authored the Money's in Your Message book. So I have those books as well. So I could send some books out to the top 3 as well. So yeah, I actually have to go through every day that I did the coaching course, and then basically go through and see who participated the most to figure out who to award those to. But thanks for reminding me. Any other questions? Anybody? Bueller? Wayne says it's been a good simplified process. Thanks, Wayne. I tried my best. Like, I'm a simple guy, so I got to keep it simple. Can't have it too complicated, or I wouldn't be able to figure it out either. So I don't know if there's any other questions or not. Like I said, for all of those, I mean, I know there's a lot of people who participated over the 5 days. A lot of people have taken action. If any of you are curious about any of the coaching or the course or the contracts, you can reach out to me. Just send me a text message and I'll call you right back. If you want to have a discussion or get more details, if something's not clear, so that you can take advantage of the bonuses for these before tomorrow night. Hopefully I was able to provide some value for everybody. Oh, and the testimonials, I will be, tomorrow morning, I will be sending out a document to everybody. It's basically a format for a testimonial, and I'd really appreciate all those who said that they would provide a testimonial. If you could do so, video format. Don't worry about, you don't have to do any edits. I don't care if there's like 50 takes on your thing. I'll do all the editing for you. But there's like a format, a structure. It's just good to keep all of the testimonials sort of in a similar structure. And it really hits on it makes you think about the important points of the training. So I'll send that out tomorrow, and hopefully all those that committed to doing it will go ahead and do that. If you're not comfortable on video, just videoing yourself, like I said, you don't have to worry. I'll do the editing. If you're not comfortable doing video, then if you could just do a written one and send a headshot along with it, that would be great. And I'd really appreciate that as well. And any feedback on the OPH, other people's houses, I think I might start coining that phrase and start using it in my marketing. How to do real estate with OPH instead of OPM. I think it has legs. We'll see. That's why I want to test it out. Get some feedback. You can just let me know what your thoughts are. But Katie says, thanks for the 3 days or 6 days. You're very welcome. Any other questions? Like I said, just you have my phone number in there. I'll type in my email address, but I think everyone has my email address from all of the autorespond, or all the emails that come to you from my autoresponder system. So all you have to do is just reply to any of those ones, and the email will come to me. So you can send me a text message if you want to chat about anything. And yeah, hope everyone has. I want to thank everybody. I know this is Saturday on a long weekend. Last night was Friday on a long weekend. Like I said, I didn't do a very good job planning this. When you work for yourself and you really don't, every day is the exact same day, whether it be a Monday or a Saturday, and you don't really pay attention to long weekends or when even holidays are. You kind of forget stuff like that a lot of people who have regular jobs sort of pay attention to. So, but anyway, thank everybody. Hope everyone has a safe and good rest of the long weekend. And I will send out, go through this information and send out the details tomorrow. I'll post it in the Facebook group, as well as I'll create the script or the document for the testimonials, and reach out to everybody who said that they would do it, and we'll go from there. So thanks everybody. Hope you have a great night, the great rest of the long weekend, and we'll talk soon. Take care.